Hey everybody, this is Kathy from K-Dill Handmade, and I wanted to welcome you to my video tutorial today. Today we are doing, as part of the Marathon Sewciety series, we are sewing up the Sammy Zip Wallet, and that is by Jess over at So Many Creations. Yeah, it's just a super cute pattern. I'm really excited to make it today. Thank you for joining me, and a special shout out to Jess. Thank you so much for letting us use your pattern for today's tutorial. All right, so let's go ahead and get started and go over the pieces that we're going to need. All right, so I'm going to be using cork for my wallet, and I have this really fun cassette cork, and I got this from Jess at So Many Creations. So if you guys haven't checked it out yet, check out her website. She's got some really cool prints in cork fabric, so that will be super fun to do. This is going to be my accent piece here on the front, so I have two of those. I also have the inside piece. There is a template for that, and that is interfaced with SF101. I have 8 of these. These are not interfaced, and these are going to make the card slots. I have 4 of these. These are going to make your center zipper pocket. 2 of them are interfaced, 2 of them are not. So there are 4 of those. You also have 8 of these, and I've already put them together, right sides together, but they have a slight angle, as you can see on that one side. This is going to create our gussets, and so you have 8 of those. They will end up being 4 sets of 2. So I have those already cut and wrong sides together, so they're ready to sew. You will also need a long zipper, and the measurement is provided in the pattern. You will need a shorter zipper, that is for your inside zipper pocket. Obviously some zipper pulls. The pattern calls for 2 zippers, 2 pulls for your outside zipper. I'm just going to use 1. Personally, I just like having 1 zipper all the way around, open and closed, but if you wanted to do 2, then you could have 2 and open it this way. So up to you. But I'm just using 2. If you're using 3, you'll need 2 for the outer, 1 for the inside. And then the other thing that I am going to slightly modify from the pattern is the center zipper pocket. There are not zipper tabs used on that center zipper pocket, and I think I'm going to go ahead and add some zipper tabs to my center pocket. So I've just cut out 2 pieces of fabric that I'm going to use for that. Other things you might want to grab is some clips, possibly some double-sided tape, a seam ripper just in case, and I think that's probably about it. All right guys, let's go ahead and get to making this cute little wallet. All right, so the first thing we're going to work on is our card slot pieces, and so that is the one. There are 8 pieces that you will cut for the card slots. They're all the same size, and it's all the same step for each card slot. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your card slot, fold it wrong sides together long ways. You're going to press this top edge here straight, and then you're going to top stitch straight across. All right, so here are all of my card slot pieces. They're all top stitched along this edge here at the top, leaving the bottoms and the sides raw and unstitched. So to attach them to our main panels, it's going to be the same for both sides. And as you can see, I've already marked some lines here. There is a measurement in the pattern for how far down you're going to measure the top edge of your pocket from the top edge of this panel. So what I did, just to make it a little bit easier on myself, is I measured that down, and then I drew a line here. So that is what that top line is. That's where I'm going to line this up, and then I'm going to top stitch at 1/4 of an inch right here to attach this to the main panel. Then my next card slot, I'm going to line it up with that bottom line, and same thing, stitching it across at 1/4 of an inch, and then same for this side with these 2 card slots. We are going to do that first to attach the bottom, or the third, I guess you would call it. To attach those, it's a little bit different. So I will do these first and then I will come back and show you that last step. Okay, one side note here, and you will already know this fact because I will have mentioned it. I'll put a little descriptor in the earlier part of the video, is that you only need 6 of these card slots, not 8. I'm not sure why I thought we needed 8, but we only need 6. Okay guys, I'm back and I'm still laughing about the fact that I cut out 2 extra card slots. I don't know why, it's just funny to me, but anyway, moving on. We are going to take our remaining card slot and we're going to flip it down so that the stitching is here at the bottom. We're going to line up the raw edges of the pockets here along this bottom edge, and we are going to stitch across at 1/4 of an inch. Then we are going to flip it up like that and top stitch along this bottom edge again, and everything should match up just right, so it should be the same distance between all 3 pockets. So fingers crossed, that is what it's going to look like after I get mine stitched. If I stitch on my seam allowances just correctly, that's what we'll have. So again, we're flipping it down, matching up those raw edges there at the bottom, and on both we're going to just stitch across at 1/4 of an inch. Then we're going to flip these pockets up and then top stitch along that bottom folded edge. All right guys, I just wanted to stop real quick and just show you, this is what it looks like when it's finished. So I stitched that down there and then I flipped it up and top stitched, and as you can see, my pockets are all the same distance apart, so yay, that's exactly what we want. Okay, once you get both of those done, what you're going to do is you're going to mark your next stitch lines. So you're going to stitch right down the center, and you can do that by folding this in half, finding your center mark and drawing a line, or measuring in and figuring out where that is so you can draw the line there. Now what I will say is I am using a friction, let's see here, it's a friction, it is an erasable pen. It erases with heat. So if you are drawing on your fabric, just make sure that you're using that type of pen that will remove, otherwise your ink might stay on your fabric, so you don't want that. There are measurements for how far in you're going to measure from each side, and you're going to stitch. Of course, you're going to stitch down the center, and then you're just going to stitch again right at about 1/8 of an inch right along this edge, just to keep those sides down. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that to both sides, and then I'll be back. All right, once you get all of that stitching done, you will have your center, you will have the measurement in from the side, and then another one right along the edge just to hold that in place. You're going to do that to both panels. Once you have that done, we can set our main panels to the side, and let's go ahead and work on the gussets. All right, so coming to the gussets, these are the 8 pieces. Yes, there are 8 pieces of these. We have 4 sets of 2 each. You're going to have the angled corner or the angled side cut on each 4 of these sets. So all 8 pieces, I put them together as pairs and then I just trimmed. So now what we want to do is we just want to stitch across the top, down the side, and across the bottom. We're going to leave this angled edge open for now. We're going to stitch across, down, and over according to the seam allowance. We're going to do that on all 4, again leaving this angled edge unsewn. Then you're going to trim the corners. We're going to turn it through and optionally top stitch. So I'll go ahead and I will just sew all of these together. I'll come back to show how we trim those corners, push it through, and then optionally top stitch. All right, so I have those stitched and I kind of staged them here in different steps, kind of like the evolution of man, but it's the evolution of the gusset. So what we have here is the first step is we are going to just top stitch or just stitch around the sides according to the seam allowance. Then you're going to trim those corners. And from there, once you get those corners trimmed, you're going to poke it through. I have a turning tool here. You can use any type of turning tool that you like. I have a bamboo knitting needle that I use a lot, but this works as well. You can also use a pen or a pencil, something like that. Then I will go ahead and give it a press, which is what we have here. This one is corners poked out, edges are pressed, and then optionally, if you wanted to, you could add that row of top stitching across there. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add the top stitching to all of my gussets, and then I'll be back for the next. All right, once you get all of those completed, now it is time to attach them to the lining pieces. So I'm going to set 2 to the side. I'm going to grab one of my side lining pieces, my main lining pieces, and then attaching. As you can see, let me bring it up here, it's about the same exact height as our card slot section. So you're going to line up the top edge of, this is the raw end, so you will see that this angles down. That's what you want. You want to line up the top edge with that top edge of your pocket. And here we go. It's like, what happened to my clips? They were on the other side of the table where I don't normally put them. All right, and then we're going to flip this one over. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Again, aligning it at the top. Okay, and then once you have that clipped on like that, we're going to baste stitch in place. I'm going to get this other one prepared at the same time, and then I will just baste them both at the same time. All right, so moving on to our center zipper pocket, you will take your 4 main pieces here. So you have, again, 2 lined, 2 or interfaced, 2 not interfaced. The interfaced ones will be the exterior, the not interfaced will be the lining. So if you have different fabrics for that, just know that your non-interfaced is the lining, the interfaced is the outer. Now, there is instructions in the pattern for cutting this angle. So it is 1 measurement here, 1 measurement here. When it is all the same like that, and I know that it's just 4 layers of fabric, I can easily cut through that with my rotary cutter. So what I'll do is I call it stack and whack. You just lay all 4 pieces on top of each other, and then I measured it, and with my rotary cooler, zip, zip, or whack, whack, I don't know. Just something to get it done a little quicker. That's just what I do when you have the same kind of cuts for all of your pieces. Now I'm going to set 3 of these to the side for now. This is my exterior. The pattern has instructions for attaching your zipper with it being longer, and then you're going to trim it up in a later step. I am going to be adding zipper tabs to mine because I want them to poke out at the end, if that makes sense. I don't want them to kind of be folded into the pocket. So I'm going to be adding zipper tabs here at the end. So I want to make sure that my zipper is shorter than this panel because I'm going to be adding the tabs, and I want to keep it out of the seam allowance. So typically I will measure in about 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch here. So whatever this measurement is here, I'm going to cut this 1 inch shorter, and then I'm going to cut the tabs. Or I'm going to attach the tabs, and of course the zipper pull. But first is first. Let me go ahead. I'm going to do this off camera, and then I'll come back to show the next steps. But I'm going to cut the zipper 1 inch shorter than this top measurement here. All right, so there is my zipper pull attached to the zipper. Now what I want to do is I want to take, and I apologize for my nails if you guys are noticing my lack of manicure. Hopefully you haven't, but now that I've called it out, you probably are. I've been working on cutting out class kits all week, and my hands have just really taken a beating, so I apologize, but hopefully it's not too distracting. So what we want to do with our zipper tab is we're going to fold it in half. First, we're going to fold it in half this way, and then we're opening it up, and then we're folding those short ends into the center, and then folding it again in half. So what you have, you end up with something like this, with no raw edges anywhere, and you're just basically going to slide your zipper in between that zipper end. Okay, once you get that attached, we are going to top stitch right along this folded edge, and that will secure our zipper tab to the end of our zipper. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. So again, folding it in half, and then folding those to the center, folding it, let's see, I want it to come loose. All right, and then folding that to the center, and then attaching or sliding your zipper into the center there. There we go. And then once we get it clipped in place, your zipper will look like this. We are going to top stitch down each side of the zipper tab. All right, once you have that top stitched here on either side, we're going to take one of our exterior pieces that has the interfacing. We're going to flip our zipper down so it is teeth side down, and you're going to center it on this panel. I'm just going to clip in place here across the top. Okay, now you can baste this in place, or if you want to live dangerously, just grab your lining piece. We're going to lay that right side down on top of that. So sandwiching your zipper in the middle, and then we are going to stitch across the zipper edge here according to the seam allowance. We are going to then press both panels back away from the zipper, and we're going to top stitch at about 1/8 of an inch here from this folded edge. So now to repeat the process for the other side, we are going to take the remaining exterior that is interfaced, lay that right sides up, take your zipper, lay it right sides down. So you're going to again center that. You want to match up the sides, and again your zipper is teeth side down, so your exterior and your exterior of this pocket here and here are right sides together with your zipper sandwiched in the middle. Then again, you can baste stitch in place, or take your other remaining lining panel, clip it in place across the top, and then we're going to take it again to the sewing machine, and just like we did on the other side, we're going to go sew straight across, flip both panels away from the zipper, and then top stitch along this folded edge. All right, so now that that is complete, we are ready to move on to the next step. So we're going to open our zipper to the center, and then we're going to take our two exterior pieces, and then we're going to fold, or we're going to press this where the zipper is, we're going to press that in towards the lining. So we're matching up these two edges here, right at that top seam. I'm going to clip in place, adding some clips down to the edge of that side, and then clipping in place along the lining. So we're only clipping the sides here. We're not clipping the bottoms. There we go. So like that, and then flipping it over to the other side, again pressing that zipper down towards the lining. I'm matching up that side seam here. I'm going to add a couple more clips. And then over here on this side, again adding clips down to the edge. And so this is what our zipper pulls in the center. This is what our panel is looking like. We're going to take it to the sewing machine. According to the seam allowance in the pattern, we're going to sew down each side only, starting and stopping at the top and the bottom. Just sew down those sides. All right, here's the zipper pocket sewn down the sides. Now we are just going to flip it so that it is exterior side out, lining side down, and then I'm going to use my, get everything smoothed out here. I'm going to use my turning tool to help poke out these corners. There we go. And so now I have a nice flat corner that lines up right there at that side seam. Okay, and same thing on this side. I use my finger inside here to help poke that out as well, to get that seam pushed all the way out. There we go. All right, now optionally, and I think I probably should have done this before I turned it through, but I am going to trim back the lining seam allowance by about half. I just want to help to reduce some bulk on the inside there when it's turned through. So let me pull this one back out again. There we go. Okay. All right, I'm pushing that back through. I think that'll help it to lay nicer. All right, so once you get everything laying nice and flat, I'm gonna close my zipper. All right, that's what it's looking like, which I think in itself is really cute. All right, I'm just doing this to help press it out. If you have any kind of discrepancy here at the bottom, if your lining or exterior is one is significantly longer than the other, you can just trim this bottom edge to be even. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and give this a press, and then we are ready to move on to creating the exterior. All right, to create our two exterior panels, we need our two main pieces, and again, I'm using cork here, no interfacing. And then I have the accent piece. So what you want to do is you want to, it's going to be the same for both pieces. We're going to line up this accent piece with the side. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to flip it over to the other side, and I'm going to show you that there is a bit of a difference in the measurement, and this is by design, so that when you turn it over, as you can see, one is a little bit shorter. That helps with the bulk in that seam allowance when we close it up at the very end. So if you want to do, I mean, if you notice that and you think, oh no, I cut something wrong, you didn't. This is exactly how you want it. So you want that little bit of overhang. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take it to the machine, and we're going to top stitch along this curved edge, and then you're going to stitch down the side, down the bottom, and then up this other side. So that's just going to secure this accent piece to the exterior of the wallet. And then optionally, if you wanted to add another row of stitching just for design, decoration, whatever, you can add that as well. And I think I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew one line first, see how that looks, and then I might try to sew on the second line. But I'm going to line up both of these first at the same time so I can do them all at the sewing machine. All right, there we go. Everything is top stitched. I decided to do 2 rows of stitching, and I'm actually pretty excited with how it turned out. But now that we have both of our pieces top stitched, we are ready to attach the zipper. So what we want to do first, I'm going to set one of these to the side. We're going to work on one side at a time. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to make the smallest snip. So that is going to give me, if you can see it there, maybe you can see it better with the blue in the background, but right there I have the center mark, the center notch marked. Now I'm going to do the same thing on my zipper, and it's not as critical because the zipper is longer than my panel. But what I think I'm going to do on this one, instead of snipping it, because it's a zipper, I'm just going to mark. I'm going to mark a little line on both sides, and so that way I know where the center is. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to take our notch that mark that we made in the zipper with the notch in the center of our panel, and we're going to clip it in place. And I'm going to add a couple clips here just to hold it across the top. Okay, now we come to the curved part. In the pattern, just suggests snipping into your zipper tape. So snipping just the smallest amount, maybe 1/8 of an inch, just to help ease that zipper tape around the curve. Now I know some people cringe when you mention trimming or snipping into zipper tape because they think that it weakens the zipper and you run the risk of it fraying and falling apart and stuff like that. So if you are in that camp and you think that it's like, do not cut into your zipper tape, then don't cut into your zipper tape. But what you want to do is you just want to ease this zipper tape around the corner here and then bringing it all the way down to here, and we're going to clip that in place. So I am going to work on just clipping it in place for now. I have in the past cut into my zipper tape without issue. I've never had it happen to me where my zipper starts to fray and fall apart. It could be that I'm just not that hard on my zippers. I'm not sure, but it could be I'm just lucky. And I got a strong zipper that I did that to, or maybe I just don't use the item enough. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to not cut into this zipper and show you what that looks like as we go around. Now the tricky part is you're going to have to use probably a stiletto or some kind of tool that you can use to hold the zipper in place as you're stitching around that corner, because it's going to want to move. It's tight there since you don't have those snips, so you're going to want to have something to hold, and you can use a pen. You can use, let's see, I'm left-handed, so this is a little awkward, but you want something that's just going to hold it in place, and you're just going to do that as you slowly stitch around those corners. The issue or the risk is that you could end up with a little bit of a wavy zipper. So that's kind of up to you. I will take this over to the sewing machine, and actually I'll bring the camera with me for this part just so you can see how I use my stiletto to help hold the zipper in place. All right, so we're going to start sewing around. I'm going to line up, and I'm only doing it at about 1/8 of an inch because I just want to baste it in place for now. I just want it to hold it. So on the straight edge, not too much of an issue. But now here, as I'm getting around the corner, and hopefully I can keep my finger out of the way, keep the zipper in place, and show you how I use my stiletto. So you have to go really slow because the zipper tape wants to move and pull away from the panel. So doing a couple stitches at a time is important, and just go slow, like I said. once I get this done, like I said, I'm left-handed, and so doing this right-handed is tricky. Tricky to say the least. I'm not used to using my right hand, so I use a stiletto, but I'm not super coordinated with it. Okay, and then once we get around that corner, there we go. You can stitch all the way to the other end. Nice straight edge, so that's helpful. Okay, now here we come around the other side, so back to my stiletto. And like I said, if you don't, you can use a stiletto. If you don't go slowly and take it a few stitches at a time, your stuff is still going to, it's not going to matter. It's still going to move and slip and slide and get out of alignment and not line up correctly. It's just the way it is. Because what a stiletto is used for is, you know, on these pieces that are, they have tension and they're pulling and they don't want to go where you want them to go. So I guess the key, what I'm trying to say is just make sure you go slow and take your time. All right, so there we go. Oh, sorry, I don't know if you can see this too well. I will show it back at the table again. But here is how that is looking. And then while I'm here, I'm just going to sew across the bottom here a couple times at each zipper end, and I will trim these strings also back at the table. Just so that our zipper, actually before I do this one, I'm gonna put my zipper pull on, right? That's kind of important. So I'll put my zipper pull on, I will stitch across this one, and then I'll meet you guys back at the table. All right, so here we go. I added the zipper and I just basted down each side here just to help it so that the zipper pull does not come off as we work on to the next steps. Now I will say that that looked pretty good, and I will just show you as we turn it through a little bit. You can see there isn't really any puckering or anything, so that stiletto really does help. It really does do a good job. And let me just show you in case you were wanting to know. This is the stiletto that I'm using. It is by Annie.com, and it is very sharp, but it does the job really well. So if that's something that you don't have, I would recommend getting one of those to add to your sewing library. Okay, now that we are done with that part, what we're going to do, and I'm actually going to slide my zipper pull all the way down so that it is out of the way and I don't have to worry about it for this next part. But we are going to take one of our card slot panels, we are going to flip it over so they are right sides together, sandwiching that zipper in the middle, and we are just matching up. So I'm kind of eyeballing using my center stitch line here with that notch that I made earlier, and I'm going to clip it in place all the way around. I'm going to again add a couple clips to the top first. Okay, and then as I get to the corner, because that zipper wants to poke up, actually, let me do this. This might help a little bit if we separate the zipper. So I'm going to slide the zipper to the other end. There we go. Now we're only working with half, and it does reduce the bulk a little bit in that corner. So what you want to do is you want to match up that corner, but you want to push that zipper down and out of the way. You don't want it to try to, because it will, try to poke up on you around that corner as you're sewing. Okay, so once you get that clipped all the way down, your sides should match up just right, and mine do, so yay for that. Okay, now I'm going to clip around this corner again, pushing that zipper. Just, I mean, don't be afraid to push it around. Like, show it who's boss. Tell it exactly where you want it to go. All right, and then you're going to clip all the way around to that end as well. All right, now once you get that clipped in place, we are going to sew around according to the seam allowance. You shouldn't have to use your stiletto for this because the zipper is already being held, but what you do want to be mindful of is when you come around to this corner, just kind of use your nail or use something to make sure that the zipper teeth are pushed out of the way as you're sewing around those curves. All right, once you get that stitched all the way around, now we are going to turn it through and see how it looks. All right, so where you want to look in particular is in the corners. If you want to make sure that your corners are laying nicely and there's no puckering or buckling or anything looking crazy. If there is, you could turn it back through and fix that, but I think my corners and everything looks really good. This spot right here, but I think I don't have it pushed out all the way on the inside. And my zipper's not wonky. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this looks. Okay, so now that we have done that, we are going to baste, but I'm going to go ahead and attach the other side first, and then we'll baste, or not baste, but top stitch both. All right guys, before I attach the other lining piece, I just wanted to pop in real quick and say, if you were adding some sort of logo badge, make sure you add that before you attach this other lining piece, or you could even do it before you attach the zipper, but just make sure you attach that there. And keeping in mind, even though there's a lot of space here, this is going to be folded, so there's really nowhere to put a logo down here, so I recommend putting it here in the center. All right, now that we have both sides all attached and turned through, I double checked all my zippers, corners, everything. It's looking really good, so I'm happy with that. Zipper is not twisted, again, perfect. Now you see my gussets are out to the side. What we are going to do now is we are going to take it over to the machine and top stitch around this edge, just from here all the way up and around and back down. You don't have to worry about basting the bottom for right now. You want to make sure that your gussets are out to the sides. You do not want them behind, because you don't want them to be top stitched down with everything else. These need to be free out to the side. All right, so once we do that, again, making sure both gussets are pulled out of the way, you're going to top stitch around here, top stitch around here, and then we'll be ready to attach the center pocket. So I'm going to go top stitch and be right back. All right guys, both sides are top stitched all the way around. So now what I want to do is we are going to grab our little zipper pocket and we are going to attach that. So I am looking at mine, just orientation wise, my zipper is going to close to this side. So I'm going to lay my zipper pocket with the zipper pull also to this side, just because I want my zippers to open from the same direction. So what you want to do is you just want to lay this centered over the bottom, keeping your zippers out of the way. We're going to clip it in place here across the bottom. And we're just going to baste stitch this on, just keeping it in place. Again, making sure you're centered so your pocket stays nice and centered in the middle of your wallet. All right guys, we have everything attached. Now it is time to finally put this all together. Now this part can be a little tricky, so just take your time, but don't worry about it, you can do it. But we do want our zipper pull inside the wallet because we don't want it to get caught on the outside and then we have no zipper pull for our wallet. Okay, so once you get that moved to the center, now you're going to turn it through again. And again, basically all this is doing is putting right sides together with right sides together. So your linings together and your exteriors together. Okay. All right, so I have that other side fixed. My linings are together, and now I'm just basting, or I'm just clipping the exterior together along that straight bottom edge. Now this part is not hard, but it can be tricky because all you're doing is just just sewing straight edges together, right? But because it's so small and we are working with the zipper here right on the sides, it can be a little tricky to get it into your machine just right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over to my machine, do the exterior pieces first, just sew that all the way down according to the seam allowance in the pattern. And then I'm going to flip it over, and here you're only going to be sewing down about 1 inch. So here, and then just about up to where your zipper pocket attaches. You can probably see there's a little bump there. So you're just going to be sewing this part here, and then over at this end, same from the end to about where your zipper pocket starts. So about 1 inch or so, 1.5 inches, something like that. You're going to sew this down. You're going to leave this bottom undone for now because this is going to be our turning hole. So again, sew all the way across this side, and then on the lining, you're only sewing in about 1 inch to 1.5 inches on each side. All right, so the exterior is stitched. The lining is only stitched that much on that side and that much on that side. So now I'm going to remove the clips, and we are going to turn the wallet through from this opening. So just go slow, take your time. You don't want to like stress any stitches more than they already are in this process. Hopefully you back stitched a couple right here at this opening edge. Okay, now that that is turned through, what we need to do is we need to close this opening. So you want to pull your exterior out of the way, and then you're only going to be working with the lining. So just folding this lining down, and again, this part can be a little tricky. You want to pull your zipper pocket up, and with this opening seam allowance here, make sure that's folded under. So like this. Now you're just going to stitch straight across this bottom edge here. And let's see, again, I don't know if you can see how my exterior wants to come right up there. So you're going to have to pull this out of the way. So this part, you're going to have to manhandle it a bit. But right there. So with the exterior out of the way right there, that's what we want to stitch down across that straight edge. And so I'm just going to just take it to the machine, and I'm just going to work it with my hands, making sure that exterior stays out of the way, and that I am just stitching through the lining right here. Okay. So I think I'm going to take you to the sewing machine with me on this part, just because this can be a little tricky. All right, so I decided I'm going to add a thin strip of double-sided tape just right here at the bottom of this pocket. Because I'm working with so many layers here, and I'm trying to get stuff to stay exactly where I need it to and get other stuff to stay out of the way, I will say you do want to pull your zipper ends out. So let me do that. I think that'll help a little bit. All right, so now that those are out, I'm going to, let's see, remove the paper backing. Okay, if you don't like using double-sided tape, you could also use a bit of fabric glue, and then you would just hold it for a second for the glue to dry. You also could totally do this step with just adding fabric glue. If you use something like fabric tack, that is fabric glue. It's designed, that's what it's designed for. So that would, once it dried, it would absolutely hold that in place. So that is another option if you are just like struggling with this part and just can't get it the way you want it. You could always use some fabric glue right there too. Okay, but I'm going to now take this over to the machine, pulling my exterior out of the way, and I'm just going to have to crunch the wallet to keep all the parts out of the way. All right, and then I'm just going to top stitch straight across. All right, so here we go. That is sewn together, nice and secure. Opening is sealed, so now we are ready to put this together. Now this is a little bit of a different kind of assembly for this. We are going to be boxing these corners, and typically what we've done in the past is you would box each the lining and the exterior separately, but with this pattern we are going to be boxing both at the same time. I'm going to start from the other side, which has the zipper pull on it, because you do want to have your, wait a second, let's go this way. You want the zipper pull on the inside. Okay, so once that's zipped up like that, now you can more easily fold this down to create your boxed corners. So again, though, I want to make sure that everything is laying nice and flat. So I'm going to use my fingers on the inside to flatten out that exterior piece. And you want to line up your zipper, the center of your zipper, with that center bottom seam. I don't know if you can see that right there. You want to lay that right on top of that so that your corner is nice and flat. Now you may have to wiggle it around, squish it, move it, do a whole bunch of stuff to get it to lay nice and flat where you want it to. The goal here is we need to sew through all of the layers at the same time. So I'm going to add a couple clips here to the side to help hold that in place. And again to this side. Okay, and then I'm going to sew straight across. The pattern has you cut the zipper tab off first, but I'm going to do that second, and I'll explain why when I come back. After I stitch across here, you're going to stitch according to the seam allowance straight across, and you want to make sure that you have caught both sides, exterior and lining, in your stitch. Okay, so there is what that looks like. Gussets are not in the seam allowance, and I went back and forth over it several times to make sure it would stay nice and secure. Now I'm going to trim off the zipper end, and I'm going to take, just quickly and carefully, because I have cotton material around here as well, I'm just going to quickly singe the ends of my zipper to help prevent it from fraying. So now the pattern says that you can leave this like this and move on and do the other side. You do have this raw edge, but because of the construction of this wallet, it's a little tricky to do it any other way. But I think what I'm going to do here, if I can keep my gussets out of the way, is I have a small strip of binding tape, and I think I'm just going to put this right over the edge like that, just to kind of seal that off and hide that zipper end. I'm not really worried so much about if it hides all of my stitch lines, but I just kind of want to finish that off and make it not quite so obvious that it's a raw edge there. So this is water resistant canvas binding tape, and it is sticky on the back. So makes this part really easy. So you just fold it over, stick it in place, and now I'm just going to take it to the machine and just stitch straight across. All right, there we go, nice and stitched. Now I'm just going to trim these corners in line with the angle of the wallet. There we go. And again, I'm not too worried about these raw edges here. And if you were worried about this fraying at all, you could add a little bit of fray check. All right, once you have that side done, we need to do the same thing to the other side. Now, the pattern calls for 2 zipper pulls, and remember, I am only doing 1, so that's going to make this side more tricky for me. But I really just need it to be, let me open this side a bit. I just need it to be folded down like that to create that center or that corner. So I could try to, open up the teeth a bit and have them connected, but I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and then just add some little tack down stitches right here to hold that in place. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I was worried about if this might come loose and have this open up, but if this is the open, then this, when the zipper is down here, that's going to hold it, and then when it opens, it's open again, obviously, so I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm going to take this over to the machine, just add some couple tack stitches here to hold the zipper close together, and then I will line up everything just like we did on the other side. Stitch across here, add the binding tape to the end, and then we'll be just about there. All right, so I got that side done, and I think it looks really good. I did find my fray check. Of course, it was under some stuff here on my table, of course. All right, so I'm just going to add a little bit there on the ends of this tape. And again, like I said, I'm not too worried about it. It's going to be down in the corner of the wallet, and you're not really going to see it anyway. But there, I think that looks really cute it just finishes it off a little bit. Purpose-wise, functionally, there's no need for it, but it just, I think, finishes it off nicely. Okay, so now we are ready to attach these gussets together, and we're pretty much done. So to attach the gussets, our wallet is already inside out, so you're just going to line up your side gussets. I'm going to add a couple clips to help hold it in place. And then you're just going to stitch straight across this clipped edge here at whatever the seam allowance is that is provided in the pattern. So we'll just do that there, and then same thing on this side, lining up that gusset and clipping across, and we will stitch that one as well. Okay, so I'll take those to the machine, stitch both down, and be back to show you our finished wallet. All right, guys, moment of truth. Gussets are done. Now we just have to turn it through. There we go. I'm just going to trim this a little bit here. And like I said, there is that small gap here at this end. And if you are using 2 zipper pulls, you will not have that. But for me, because I'm only doing 1, it doesn't matter. Guys, this is so cute. This turned out so cute. It's such a great size. I have to shape it out a little bit, but yeah, there's the wallet. Look how cute that is. The zipper turned out really well. And then when you open it up, Come on, zipper. There we go. You've got your little wallet. You've got 6 card slots. You've got your center zipper pocket. This would be great. I think you could probably, it's even big enough you could fit your phone in there. So even if you wanted to use it as a small clutch, you could do that as well. All right, guys, there is the Sammy Zip Wallet by So Many Creations. I just wanted to give a special shout out to Jess over at So Many Creations and tell her thank you so much for allowing us to use this pattern for the marathon today. I have had this pattern for a while. I don't even want to say how long I've had it for. And it's been on my list of items to make. So I'm so excited that we were able to use this pattern for the marathon today. And yeah, guys, I just hope you had fun. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for watching, participating, commenting. Please support the other makers who are in the series today, who have made this wallet as part of the marathon. Again, thank you so much. This is the Sammy Zip Wallet from So Many Creations. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining me.